Discover your inner goddess and live up to your highest value and most abundant potential. Welcome to Grateful Goddesses, a podcast that empowers you to unleash your inner goddess and take the leap of faith to live your best life. Your guide, Karen Pulver, joins her fellow goddesses in soulful conversations about gratitude, personal growth, authentic living, and a bevy of topics affecting women today. Let's start the show with your host, Karen Pulver.
Man plans and God laughs. We know this saying. It's a Yiddish proverb. Has your life played out exactly as you always thought it would? Or was there ever a sudden detour where you didn't get the job you were positive you'd get? Or a betrayal or breakup or divorce from the person you swore was your soulmate or closest friend? Or an accident or a medical condition that added physical path or disability to everyday activities? Or a child's diagnosis that refocused your attention, priorities, and worldview, like a gunshot wound to your heart? Or whatever it is, fill in your own shock or trauma. Hey, who changed the script on me? What movie am I in? If anything has ever happened to you that was not part of your original script for your dream life, you may want to listen to Heidi Rome talk about handling life's edits. When it looked like God was backing out of the detailed contract she had so carefully constructed since early childhood, she was not happy. Truth be told, she was beyond angry, beyond disappointed, beyond afraid. What would the future look like without that blueprint? What if working harder or working smarter wasn't turning up the solutions to fix the problem? What if Miss Type A couldn't control the plot change and couldn't figure out what to do? Fear was driving the bus of her life erratically and at 100 miles an hour. Any surprise that Heidi became depressed? Fear was driving the bus of her life erratically and at 100 miles an hour. Any surprise that Heidi became depressed? Waiting for an inevitable, horrible crash. Heidi will share her story with us today and describe how it was the wise, encouraging messages from her autistic, nonverbal son, Ethan, now 15, that shifted her heart, her mind, and her attitude. Thanks to this key counsel, Heidi now navigates and lives a life of purpose and joy instead of suffering and guides others to face hard things with courage and effectiveness. Heidi Rome is an autism mom, mentor, and the founder of Mom Spectrum Oasis, LLC. In May 2020, she launched her book, You Just Have to Love Me, Mothering Instructions for My Autistic Child, which hit #1 new release bestseller status in the parenting children with disabilities, disability parenting, and special needs categories on Amazon during the pre-order period. Heidi has been featured in the Huffington Post, Princeton Community Television, West Essex Tribune, AM 970, The Answer, and iHeartRadio 24/7 magazine, and NJ Kids on the Go Special Needs Guide, and other media. Whether speaking, consulting privately, teaching courses, leading groups, holding retreats, facilitating circles, or leading staff employee autism motivational training, Heidi's key message of take a breath and breathe is for struggling moms who are so focused on being a good parent and doing their best for their special child that they neglect their own self-care, a decision with severe consequences for each member of the family. Heidi shows overwhelmed parents how to choose a happier, more empowering path towards the family's well-being. The most important thing you can provide for your child is a calm parent with a healthy, balanced perspective, rested, nourished, and ready to face the countless decisions on how to best raise your differently wired child. To get to that place of peace and balance, you're going to need community around you, like-minded parents with similar journeys and perspectives who care about you, want to support you, and can guide and encourage you as you go. Welcome, everyone, to Grateful Goddesses. Whether you are listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube, or reading the blog, we are so glad you chose to be here with us today. Well, I'm wondering if you woke up this morning on the right side of the bed. I woke up on the left side of the bed, and or the wrong side of the bed, because everything seemed to go wrong. You know, you have your day planned out, and you have your routine and your schedule, and that makes you feel really good because you know you can control what's going on in your day. Well, sometimes, like today or the past few days, things get out of control. I lost my phone, and let me do full disclosure. It fell in the toilet. Okay, that really happened to me. And I'm wondering if it happened to you too. Well, apparently it fell out, got wet, done. So I came away with my husband, and I'm having so much trouble here because the internet went out yesterday. There was a storm. I had to just kind of scramble and figure out how am I going to make this work. And what happened was I called on my featured goddesses that I didn't even recognize their phone numbers, which goes to show you technology. We're connecting the numbers with the names. And anyway, that's another story. But they helped me. And it's so nice to have this support, this system of help that they will step in at any moment. And that's really what we need in our life. When we feel out of control, we need support. We need people to help us to get through these situations and also surrender. I feel like I needed just to surrender, see what happens, and I know it'll work out the way it's supposed to be. Our guest today, Heidi Rome. So Heidi knows a lot about change, a lot about unexpected, a lot about having your plan and your plot to your story and it totally changing course. So she's here with us today to talk with us all about this and more. Welcome, Heidi, to Grateful Goddesses.
Hey, Karen.
Oh, welcome to the show. And I'm so glad you're here because I have so much to learn from you. We all do. You've been through so much in your life. I want to first start, I want to jump right in about Ethan, your son, and the wonderful message that he gave to you. Can you talk to us about that, please? Can you start off right with that? Because I know that shifted your perspective. That's kind of that surrendering that you had into the control.
Yes, and it's a great place to begin because that really for me was the transforming opportunity to move out of that place of have to fix this, something is wrong, there's something wrong with the situation, something wrong with me, can't fix it. And it was that my transforming out of that place. I was already on the path, but was still in a lot of pain. And that moment of Ethan's message was for me the fork in the road to choose joy again in life or stay rooted in the past and pain. So that conversation took place. Ethan has high need autism or severe autism. He is minimally verbal, virtually nonverbal, and has very challenging behaviors that had become, the time of this conversation, he was 11 years old, and by then entering puberty, the behaviors had escalated, and he had become a danger to himself and to us and to other people around him because he would basically lose control of his body and lash out. And we had to make the very difficult decision for him to move to a residential school, a placement for kids with autism out of state. And so that was a very hard time, a very hard decision. We knew it was the right thing, but I was still in a lot of pain. Now, one of the gifts of the school that Ethan was at, because he had been at more than one in our desperate attempt to address the autism, the school that he was at was a beautiful place and focused on his developmental needs, the relationship with him. And one of the things they stressed at that school was the importance of communication as a human right. You know, each of us is entitled as a birthright to be able to express ourselves. And not every approach in the autism world addresses that, but thankfully this school did. And they offered facilitated communication, which is, it goes by different names, supported typing, spelling to communicate. But what it does is through support, it lets the typer communicate thoughts that have been locked within. And they offer this. It's controversial because there's some touch involved and people are saying it's not the person typing, but I won't go into it, but we had tested it and confirmed through things that no one else would know except Ethan. And we knew that he was the one typing. And we knew that this was an amazing technique, though controversial and not done everywhere. And we knew that when he was going to leave to go to this residential school, this technique was not going to be offered anymore. And we would lose the ability to type with him and let him communicate this way. So, and he won't type with me because as he typed, Mom, you're too tense. So I hope the other moms listening to this will be, yeah, that sounds like my kid. Like, Mom, go away. Leave me alone. So I knew that I was going to be losing this opportunity to type with him. So I wanted to go in extra time. So I went in this particular time in advance, about 3 weeks before I knew he would be going. And I said, Ethan, I know that you enjoy going to the special needs service that we go to every month at synagogue, but I realized I never asked you, what are your thoughts about God? And I was not prepared for what was to follow. This is the conversation, and I talk about this in the book I wrote about this very conversation. And I went in and Ethan, in response, typed, I said to him, Ethan, I know you enjoy going to synagogue and the special needs service, but I never asked you, what are your thoughts about God? And this was the conversation then with me verbally asking my questions and Ethan typing his responses with the teacher in front of me there. Ethan, God is in my heart and he will always protect me. Well, Karen, you could have knocked me over.
Did he physically type it?
Yes. He points, he was hitting the keys on the keyboard.
Okay.
So well, me, did he tell you that? When I lived in heaven, he told me that. Do you remember that time? When I lived with God, I wasn't named Ethan yet. What was your name? I was not to remember it. I had many before. Do you remember anything from that time? And at that point, Ethan said verbally, no, thank you. He typed, we should talk about it when nobody is here. So Lisa, the teacher, said to him, Ethan, who should leave? Should Mom leave? And he verbally said, no. So I said to him, should Lisa leave, the teacher? And he verbally said, no. There was one more person in the room, Kyle. Because of Ethan's severe behaviors, we had to have a strong young man with us all the time to keep everyone safe. Mm-hmm. And Kyle was a sweetheart, but he was skeptical about the typing, and Ethan felt that. So I said, should Kyle leave? And Ethan said a word that's very hard for him to say. He said, yes. No is easy. Yes is hard. So Kyle left the room and Ethan continued to type. I remember life with no body. When you go to heaven, there are no bodies, just spectacular energy. Did you choose to come here as Ethan Rome? Yes, I picked to be me and have many challenges. Did you pick us as your family? We were family before. We didn't live here. We lived in a small group, but got hurt by warriors.
Wow.
I know. Why did you choose to come back with challenges? I will be greatly rewarded in eternity. Is there anything we should do to help you? I have to complete my journey as prescribed by God. Does it feel longer than you thought it would be? And he was 11. Yes, the journey is unfathomably longer than expected. And then because I'm his mom, I had to ask him again, but what should we do to help you on the journey? You just have to love me, and that is your job. The rest is my job to do. And so, as you know, Karen, I wrote a book, You Just Have to Love Me, based on that conversation, because that was where I saw Ethan telling me, through Ethan's guidance, to stay in my lane. My job was not to fix him. He didn't say your job is to fix me or cure me or heal me or make me different or find the miracle worker who will do all that. Mm-hmm. You just have to love me. And I remember my feeling in that moment was huge relief, because I remember the thought, I can do that. I can't do anything else. I can't control anything else. I failed at fixing. I failed at all of it. I can do that. So that was the turning point in my heart to let go of that and shift into the unconditional love and acceptance of what was in front of me, and realize I can only change me. Mm-hmm. My job to do is my life. It's not to live Ethan's for him.
You were on a desperate search to try and
desperate search to fix, and
that must have affected your family. You had an older child too.
I do. I have two sons. My older guy, Eric, is 17. He's a high school senior, about to go off to college and spread his wings. And he's an amazing young man, and he had a hard time as the sibling.
Right, for sure.
Of a high need kid.
That's a beautiful story. And we have a lot of questions to talk about with that, and all the wonderful initiatives and things that you're doing to help other moms who are going through different challenges that they may have, helping with their autistic children or children on the spectrum, right?
Yes. And actually what I've come to see recently is that while Ethan's wisdom is through the autism portal, as far as my experience with him, really his message, while it is the first circle, is the autism community of let go of fixing, but really it's for everyone who thinks it's their job to fix another person. So it's a broader message.
It's broader, just like when I started trying to fix everything that was happening wrong to my day. It's definitely on a different level than what you do, but it's goes in everyone's mind. We all want to get control, and we can only control certain things, and we can only control our responses and our reactions.
Exactly right, Karen.
Yeah. Debby is joining us with her son, Ethan. We have two Ethans in this story. Debby, your son, can you tell us about your Ethan?
Sure. My son Ethan is 20 years old. He's the youngest of he has two older brothers, and he has Angelman syndrome, which is a rare syndrome. I don't think there's more than maybe 2,000 or 3,000 cases in the United States that we are aware of. He was incorrectly diagnosed as autistic by an autism specialist. And I knew that he wasn't autistic because he communicates. He can't speak very well, but he makes eye contact. I'm going to try to get him to sit down so you can see him. Hold on. So actually what we did discover is that Angelman syndrome is on this autism spectrum. And we did try that communication, assisted typing communication. We also had a very interesting experience. So has your Ethan typed after that?
Well, we've brought the challenge with that is that a lot of it is emotional support and not just the technical physical support. So he refused to type with me. So we lost that continuity. So we've actually been bringing that teacher up to his school outside of Boston with us when we visit. Well, once or twice a year, to let him type whatever he wants to tell us at that point. And so that's how at this juncture, there are practitioners in that area, but there's no way for me to get them to build a relationship of trust for him to do it because I'm not there.
Right.
So that's because it is delicate. It's
delicate.
If it's not done well with the right person, it can be a disaster. And so it's really important to put safeguards in place with someone who knows what they're doing. So it sounds like you had a tough experience.
Yeah, we had the original experience, and then they tried to teach me how to do it, and the same with me. It didn't work with me. Like I couldn't be the facilitator.
Right. Moms sometimes the parent can't be. Right.
Clearly.
Debbie, did he give you, what was his message? Did he?
Don't even ask me that. I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was also a very complicated answer that, like, Rob and I just started crying. Like practically dropped to the floor. You know, just because, just like your Ethan, we had never heard any sophisticated communication from him.
Wow.
So it was a very emotional experience.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi.
Hi.
Everybody.
Thank you for sharing that, Debbie.
Thank you. And I'll just say, obviously it sounds very hard and personal.
Yes.
If offline, you'd like me to refer you to the person who I trust to honor your experience and potentially work, talk to you, it might be worth a conversation with her. So I just want to offer that if you wanted to talk about that.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important to support each other, like I said. And with that, I'd like to bring on our featured goddesses who greatly supported me this morning. Go ahead, Alyssa.
So I actually just wanted to start with more of a comment than a question, but Heidi, I just find the words, the communication from your Ethan so fascinating because it's so spiritual, and it seems like the conversation, which, first of all, for an 11-year-old, I find amazing, but that it really focused on past lives, future lives. I mean, we talk about a lot of that on the show anyway, but obviously with adults. And it just seemed so incredibly spiritual, right? Religion, reincarnation, there are all these themes that came up in it. And you must have been completely floored just by the sort of the words, the content of the conversation.
I was, certainly it was the first God conversation. So it was the first spiritual whoa. And I should say, we're not ultra religious. So it's not like, he heard us talking about past lives or God or purpose or, so we're like, where did this come from and what? Yes, that did strike us. One thing that Lisa, the teacher, has shared with me is that that's not unusual of the autism population, of speaking or typing, communicating, vast awareness of all kinds of realms that they can't physically describe or really want to. As Ethan has typed with me, you want me to talk more than I want to talk. So, that's part of why he won't type with me, because I'm like, tell me. What do you want to say? And he's like, back off, Mom. So yes, but other things he had said before, Alyssa, there were other conversations. This was not like 0 to 100. There were other things that indicated, holy cow, what is Ethan's very first week at this school that offered this. We had done an intake with them. And we were still very skeptical and suspicious, because if you Google facilitated communication, bash, crash, it's a, scam and all this terrible.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, were you skeptical? Did you think
hugely,
it was a scam? Yeah.
Hugely skeptical. And we were frightened. Oh my goodness, why are they offering this? If it's a scam and they're, deceiving parents, like, is this where we want our kid to be? We were really frightened. And we did an intake, so we're like, all right. And the intake, what's your favorite flavor ice cream? And, we had talked, because in the beginning it's pairing to make it easy communication. So we had talked about what was true, what wasn't true. Here are just a bunch of words. And she said, what do you like better? What flavor do you like better, chocolate or strawberry? And Ethan said the last thing that he heard, which was strawberry. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not true. I didn't say anything, but I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, that's not true. He then typed chocolate, which was true. And it was spelled correctly. I'm like, wait, what? He just said the truth, spelled correctly already. So Ethan's very first week at this school, the teacher, and we're still skeptical. We're still, I don't know about this. So she called me after the first week. And those of us in the special needs world know when you get a phone call from school, you're not happy. You're like, who did he bite? Please don't make me come get him. Like, you get scared. And the teacher says, Lisa said, I just had to tell you about an exchange I had with Ethan. I'm like, an exchange? Okay. She said, I said to him, Ethan, you're in the school now. It's called Celebrate the Children. You're here at Celebrate the Children for a week. Give me 3 words. How do you feel here? And she told me afterwards she only asked for 3 words because she didn't want to overwhelm him. And there was such a contrast between the old and the new school. The old school was an ABA focused school that ended up really not being a fit. So it was small and quiet. And the new school was big and bustling and all kinds of kids back and forth. And so she thought that he's going to say big, loud, stuff like that. The 3 words that Ethan typed, basking in joy. I'm like, what? What is happening here? That was the first real glimpse. And then I could tell you lots of stories, but one more to indicate the path. This one other conversation, I go into type practice and she says, okay, what does Ethan like to do when he's not in school? Because we're going to practice boring typing, which is what most of it was, boring stuff to practice. And I'm laughing because he's 15 now. He was 9. So it was about 6 years ago. And I say that because you're going to smile. What did he like to do? He liked to watch the news. No one wants to watch the news now, but then we used to like to watch the news. So, and he would say, watch news. So, okay. So I said that to her. He likes to watch the news. All right. So we go on and we're typing and she's asking him, what channel do you like? What newscaster do you like? Stuff that she had no idea. And he's typing channel 4, Lester Holt, like, okay. So we're on this path. And she says, Ethan, why do you like to watch the news? Mom says you like to watch the news. Why? Why do you like it? And he types, I'm interested in global things. Great. She doesn't miss a beat. Oh, because that's one of the hallmarks of these teachers. They have to be calm and neutral and accepting of anything that you say. Well, that's great, Ethan. Why are you interested in global things? And he types, I'm interested in conflict. So Miss Neurotic, pointing to me, gets all nervous. Why is he interested in conflict? Is he a criminal? What's that about? You get a sense of why he won't type with me, right? The teacher doesn't miss a beat. She says, that's really interesting that you're interested in conflict. Why are you interested in conflict? And Ethan typed, I have ideas for peace. She, calm as a cucumber. Really, Ethan? Very cool. Can you give us an example? Ethan types, let people make their own decisions. Don't make them fight if they want peace. And I thought to myself, Lisa, the teacher, I said, she's very smart. She didn't type that. He typed that. And that was just, this is a kid. And, Debbie, tell me if this is the case with your Ethan. My Ethan gets stuck on a lot of cartoon theme songs, wanting to play things over and over again, like almost like a stim, a self-soothing thing. And from when he was 2, there was some that he just loved, and he would, get on YouTube and somehow conjure up in every language, in every version, these cartoon theme songs, and specifically Wonder Pets and Little Einsteins, and then SpongeBob and others. And it didn't matter how old he was, but from the beginning. Well, after that conversation, I thought, why does he listen to that stuff all the time? I looked up the lyrics of those. And if you look at these lyrics, like Wonder Pets, and I don't know if you know what Wonder Pets is for preschoolers. And they're these a little duck and a little, chick and a little something, a penguin, little baby animals, and they work together, they play together. Every episode opens, the phone is ringing. There's an animal in trouble. Come on, everyone, we have to help our friend. And let's go. And together, when we work together, we're little, and but together we are the right stuff. Yay, Wonder Pets. Every episode, we have to help our friend. And Little Einsteins, come aboard. It's time to explore. Come on, friends, let's go in the spaceship. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And I'm like, this kid wants to help his friends. He wants peace. He has ideas for peace. He was born with this.
I think the thing is, whether it's real or not real of what happened, it made sense to you, and it helped you to change your perspective. And whether, there's skeptics out there or believers, this was an exercise. This was something that you learned from, you got messages from. It helped you to perhaps respond in a different way and maybe gain a little bit of control of how your responses are and what you could do to shift instead of focusing so much on fixing. Now you're doing so many other things to help others, which in turn helps you and helps Ethan.
Yes.
So
absolutely. And you're right, Karen. There are skeptics. Yeah. And my response is like, do you believe in God? You don't believe in God.
Right.
Then the answer is, you know what? Act as if.
Exactly. And the point of you telling your story, it's important for people to understand that we all need to shift our perspective, and whatever comfort we get from any type of service or anyone helping us, it will help us to move on a better path that will be, to take care of ourselves as well, so that we can take care of our children. If it's okay, I'd like to open up to other questions if any of our other featured goddesses would like to ask. Dina.
I have one, and it's still on this communication and the skepticism that's there. I'm naive to this, of course, but to me, I don't really understand where's the skepticism? To me, it sounds like a beautiful tool if you're nonverbal onward to the message you received from Ethan, it sounds like you got an opportunity to get to know who your son was, what his passions were, how he came to the world, what, aside from the spiritual thing, like I'm sitting here taking these deep breaths thinking, where is this a bad thing? If you could just share a little bit, and I know, Debbie, your experience wasn't great, and I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm just struggling with understanding.
The skepticism is in the assertion that it's not the kid typing, that the message is being influenced. It's actually the therapist or the teacher who is imparting a message or influencing the message, because there's light touch involved, and it takes different forms with different kids. But even, a touch, it can be, considered conditioning or influencing the communication, and then it's not the person as the author. And that would be a dangerous situation, to have it be that, oh, my kid said this, and that, no, he didn't. And there have been situations, court cases where an autistic, nonverbal autistic girl, has accused people of sexual abuse. And then it's like, you're going to believe her. Mm-hmm. And then there's reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. And should you convict somebody based on something that you are suspicious, did she type that or not? And so when you have doubt and how horrible would it be to say, oh, he wants this, she wants that, when no, they don't. So there's a need for caution. There's a need. If skepticism is used as the tool to discern truth from non-truth, then it's very valuable. And nothing should be assumed hook, line, and sinker. The answer to me is not get rid of it. The answer to me is build in safeguards as much as you can, and there are ways to do that, to protect the person that you need to protect. So there's a reason behind the skepticism, and I think it's a healthy reason. It's about addressing it, though, appropriately, so that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. To say no one should ever do facilitated communication because there is the potential for influence and abuse is missing the boat for me.
But again, it's the message that you heard. Regardless of how or where it came from, it was a beautiful message, and it allowed you, for so many years, you were a marketing director, you had a very successful career, and you were married at a later age, and in your 40s, I believe, and you had your first son, and life was,
Yes, it was a plot change. Every script I had in my head for what the future would hold, change
drastically. And you had to become the autism mom that you mentioned. And yes. Then from there, you had to become a different form of autism mom, not just staying on that path of trying to fix, but accepting it, loving him as the message that he gave you, which opened up to so many new things that you could do, like starting Mom
Spectrum Oasis. Yes, thank you. Yes, it was about it did open up. I had a choice, is all of this stuff going to crush me and leave me a puddle on the floor? And yes, it did for a long time.
Yes.
I was in a lot of pain, and I was fix, and I was obsessed with that until my own healing and realizing that with all these plot changes to the script, being angry at God wasn't getting me anywhere. And if I chose to say, wait a minute, is this an opportunity to expand, to work with the plot change instead of resisting it at every move, which was useless anyway. It's like saying, I hate that the sky is blue. All right, I'm going to be pretty miserable because it is. So Ethan's message, accept, then frees me up. And then I can then say, okay, I'm going to move out of a crisis and say, you know what? I'm choosing to move out of crisis mode and into living my life mode, and picking joy every day and expansion every day, as opposed to the alternative. Because you know what? Ultimately, that is the only thing I can control. And as you said before.
And you talk about, excuse me, you wanted to be the resource to people that you didn't have.
I didn't have, right.
Right. Whenever they need it, and you're there for them, and you offer all of these amazing offerings on Facebook, and you have courses and different things that you do to help self-care for the mom.
Yes.
Because many times, all moms need to take care of themselves, the oxygen first, like you have to do that in order to be able to take care of others, especially with a special needs child. And many times we neglect that. Any question, Rachel, do you have something you'd like to ask?
Heidi, I love your story and I love your journey. And I think that I love how you always ask the right questions. Like what I'm impressed with, not only like, did you find this method to communicate with your son, but you also, like, you were meant to be together to be able to draw that information out of him. I don't know, like you seem to always have had the presence of mind. So I think that's like another beautiful part of the story for, that you enabled this story, and you've written the book and you're sharing the knowledge. So I have a question. First of all, did you know about past lives? Did you believe in past lives? Like, what was your exposure to even that concept when Ethan wrote that?
I had read Brian Weiss. I knew about past lives. Actually, I really hadn't thought much about it. I certainly hadn't thought of it in terms of me, my family, my life, how it was like, wow, that's interesting. Next, I never thought of it in terms of, me or anyone in my family. I have to say I was shocked to hear Ethan type about this. He certainly had not heard that at home. I couldn't imagine, where he had read it or heard it or would ever think about it to type about. I thank you for that acknowledgement, Rachel. I will say, and that is part of my message, all of us have that. All of us have, when Ethan said, God is in my heart and he will always protect me, that wasn't only about Ethan. Each one of us has God in our hearts who will protect us if we listen, if we stop and get quiet and feel. We all know, each of us is the expert on our kid. We know what they need. And often the brain is like, what about this? What about that? That one says, and that expert is, and how many times has it happened where someone said, you should do ABC, and your gut is, I don't think so. They don't know my kid. I don't think so. Or maybe that's brilliant for everyone else, but that's not for my kid. And we all have that. And we need, I think, Ethan's guidance. Trust it. Because when you come from love, not fear, and that's ultimately the choice. When you come from love, there are no mistakes. There's only learning. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay. Doesn't work. What else? Or maybe not now, or maybe not as much, or too little, or whatever. But you're coming from love. It's okay. Whatever you do is right. It's not about right or wrong. What is the guidance? That is the spiritual guidance. So thank you for the acknowledgement that I was present with him. You are too, with your kid. And the knowing in the moment what is needed right now. And it begins, the self-love, the wisdom is love thy neighbor as thyself. It begins
with us. If we are doubting our worthiness, our enoughness, if we forget we are each made in God's image, we each have God in our hearts, do we remember how powerful we are in our own lives, in our kids' lives? And our kids feel it. Just as we know our gut, they know mom's okay, or mom's upset, or mom's whatever. Because, and I talk about this in the book, we have the spiritual umbilical cord. Even if we didn't physically give birth, there's that connection and that knowing. So don't lie. Be authentic. Feel what you're feeling. And it's okay. You're human. If you're angry and you want to kill that kid, don't do it. But you can feel it. And you can say, you are driving me nuts. And I'm putting myself in a timeout because you're making me crazy right now. And they know that's true. There, see, he's back. They know that's true. They know it's true.
Right.
And they know mom is speaking truth. Therefore, they are safe. Because you're not, I'm fine. And no, you're not.
I want to, not to put you on the spot, Debbie, but can you relate to what Heidi's saying?
This is probably something that, Heidi, I should speak to you alone about, but this is
I can edit out then. Okay.
This is something that haunts me every day. What happens when I'm not here anymore?
I hear you, and I'm going to cry.
I know. And it's the same answer, Debbie. What would love do right now? And therefore, I have started to look to create what he will need. What exists, what resources are out there, and I've started to put in place creation of something new that may not exist. And the umbrella of Mom Spectrum Oasis will cover what, for the sake of a working term, I am calling Ethan's Village. And I am beginning, it has to start somewhere, and it has begun. Let there be light. We are creating where he can live for the rest of his life and thrive and be happy and be protected and supported and have his needs met. So we can absolutely talk online. You are not alone. I think all special needs moms share that deep worry and deep commitment and certainty. It will be okay because we will make it okay. So absolutely, let's talk about it.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable today, for sharing your stories, both Heidi and Debbie. I'm glad that I connected you two.
Thank you, Debbie.
Debbie, I hope it was okay such last minute. I was like, you have to come. I just had this gut feeling.
So happy.
And I know it like kind of changed the interview a sense, but I think it's so important. It shows, it demonstrates my mission of what I really want to do, of supporting women. It helps me feel that I'm on the right track because I always feel like in a past life I've been a Jewish matchmaker or something. Because I like to connect, and I hope you two will continue your connection. I have a feeling you will, and you're gonna make some great things. I think the two of you making an Ethan plural village of some kind might be out there. And Rachel, thank you as well for being vulnerable with your story and sharing your outlook on your husband and how he is now and how he's learned with his brother and sharing the love. I mean, back to George Benson, the greatest love of all, I believe the children are people. Give them love and help them lead the way. And if we can do that for each other, for our children, for ourselves, that's the greatest gift. Thank you so much for joining us today on Grateful Goddesses.
In this arena today was like that special woman who showed up when asked, when brought in, And you said, I'm here for you. I don't know what I'm going to do, but hey, what do you need? And that is living love and empowerment for your sisters and the giving. And that is what is going to shift our world and create what it's you and that nurse. And there's my buddy, my other Ethan. Mwah, I love you. Oh. All right, I can go home now. I got the prize. Like, all right, I'm done. Drop the mic.
I love it.
So I want to acknowledge everyone on the call today.
I just wanted to say, can I say something?
Of course.
So I think that message really of the women here today, you can't even imagine how powerful you guys are for us in our lives. So I just want to thank you.
Oh, I love you, Debbie.
Yes.
And I'm hoping this will inspire. I just feel too like we live life and we have things that we've gone through, and why not share it? It's someone was saying, I know this is going to sound so crazy or silly, but someone said, one of the guests said, when she asked a woman, where did you get that sweater? It's so pretty. And the woman says, oh, I don't remember. We want women that say, oh, I got it at this store. It costs this much. And this is how you can get it too.
Right.
Like, it's not about being better than or jealous, or we want to support. I know that's such a silly example, but it kind of rings true. Right. We want to help each other in any way that we can. And I love that message out to people who are not dealing with a special needs child, but they can provide that love and guidance and support just by a simple, I hear you. And I'm here to help you.
Absolutely. And this goes back to the very beginning. This message, viewing a plot change, a life plot change, as a transforming opportunity, as an option to expand, is Ethan's message is for all of us. Because who here has not had a life change, a job you didn't get, the friend who disappeared, the divorce, the whatever, how many crazy things that happen, like, oh my God, that's horrible, or things are different, or world has changed, have experienced the script not going according to plan, and there's that Yiddish expression, man plans and God laughs. Mm-hmm. Like, we can plan, and like, it's not going to go like that. As the message is for all human beings to, instead of being a victim of the situation, how do we empower ourselves? And knowing that love is that tool to empower ourselves. The situation that we all might embark on, encounter every day.
Up next, favorite things. Opening up to happiness and joy.
Welcome, everyone, to Favorite Things portion of Grateful Goddesses. And we're here with our amazing, loving guest, Heidi Rome. We're going to talk about things that bring us joy and happiness and just really make us feel good. I think I'll start with Dina today. Dina, did you bring something that smells yummy?
No, and it's so not about even this episode, but it's brand new. Alyssa knew I went to go visit the Mart a few days ago. We're fortunate to be changing a few things in our home, and we were in a showroom, and this lovely gentleman that runs the showroom was talking through lots of things and fixtures. And the long and the short is, I have some polished nickel in my bathroom that just I cannot bring back to life. And like, it is what it is. I'm not replacing it. It's fine. And he said, no, I have a product for you. And he sent me all the links to Amazon to get it. It's called Flitz, and it works. I've been polishing away small things that make you happy. This is one. My bathroom feels brand new, and I've tried everything. So this is my little gem of the day.
Okay, I'm freaking out about that because I cleaned my my sink, and it almost caused a divorce because I took off the beautiful shine of how it was, and it's awful. And my husband came home, he said, "What did you do?" And I can't get it back to normal. Well, it's interesting when we say normal, whatever the new normal, anyway, get it back to how it originally shined.
I'll send you his email to me, because there's also like a wax layer, but like when it actually like polished up some silver.
Oh, cool.
Like said, the bathroom fixtures were not being replaced. That was into the budget. That's not what we were doing. But now I feel like they're brand new. So I'm very happy.
I'm hoping I'm not hijacking Rachel's, but because we both have the same thing, and I don't know if what she's bringing today. So I'm going to jump in and cross my fingers. So I am wearing a bracelet. Rachel has one too. It is was this your favorite thing? Okay, good. So I found this company online. It's called Ubuntu Life, Ubuntu. Ubuntu. And, today we're talking about amazing women, noble work, empowering women and communities. And this seemed really to speak to me for today. So what this is, it's a beaded bracelet, sort of closes by just like pulling these things. They make them in all different colors and they all say love. And they are made by women in Kenya, Maasai women in Kenya. The company was started by two pastors, men, one I believe in Austin and one in Kenya. And how they met, I don't know. I believe the story is on the website. But the profits go back to these women. These are women who, my understanding is their children had grown and they wanted to be creative and they wanted to make money and they wanted to do, good work and spread sort of the artisan community that they're a part of and their work to the world. And so there are a lot of initiatives under this company if you go on the website, but they make a variety of different products, but their bracelets are really cool and I love wearing it. I also love that it's red. We've been speaking of sort of, Judaism and sort of, I feel like I've got this red bendel on my wrist when I go out into the world, but they make all beautiful colors. And so that's my favorite thing for the day.
And you got one for Rachel for her birthday.
And I got one for Rachel for her birthday in this beautiful silver color. And
I love the love bracelet. Thank you for sharing that. Rachel, what did you bring today?
Okay, so mine is not deep. It's love in a different way. It's lipstick. And
love a good lipstick.
I know. Well, Dina always shows us good products. Alyssa, you everyone does that, but today I'm doing a product, and I always remember the name, and of course, in this moment, I'm blanking out on the name.
Debby, what did you bring for show?
I actually did. I have these books that I got from my nurse friend, Katie Mullally. And they are books, first of all, they're illustrated beautifully. The poetry is wonderful. And the messages are what makes it the most powerful. It's all about knowing who you are. And this one is called The Land of I Am, which is the one about the mirrors. And anyway, you guys can get it. She has a website, Katie Mullally, and they really are beautiful books. And she's coming out with the third one, she told me this week. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Is the first one called Land of Now? Is that what it says?
Land of Now and Land of I Am.
And they're children's books?
They are children's books.
Oh, I have.
They have a message.
Children's books are so powerful. I've mentioned because I teach preschool, I wish that that adults would read children's books more often. And also, Heidi, what you mentioned in the show about children's shows. I mean, the good shows, the good quality shows that have those underlying messages that we all need to hold on to as adults. Thank you, Debby, for sharing that. Heidi, what did you bring?
Oh, I love that. I just actually, how do you spell Mullally? I want to make sure I spell it right.
It's Katie, Katie, Mullally, Mullally.
Okay, good.
And they're so refreshing, and they are for adults to read.
Absolutely.
I think.
I can't wait. Thank you.
So I brought, you might laugh at me, but that's okay.
No judgment here.
I love Baby Yoda. I just think he is the cutest little thing. And so I did go a little bonkers, and I bought a Baby Yoda, like a picture frame. So this is a Baby Yoda. It holds photos. Do you see that? That's actually Eric and Ethan.
Can you bring it closer to the screen?
I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Can you see them?
Eric is in the black shirt?
Yes, that's Eric in the black.
Yeah.
Ethan hugging his brother.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So, Baby Yoda. Isn't he cute?
Well, Baby Yoda's very wise. He's
very wise. He's wise and cute.
It's very apropos for today's conversation, because Baby Yoda is a wise creature that's in this shell of a baby that, upon looking, you would think he doesn't know. What does he know? And he knows so much, which is, I hope I'm saying respectfully, like, to your children, like, you, upon first glance, you might say, oh, that person doesn't know anything. Forget it. But they are so wise and so gifted. So it's a great message. Well,
yeah, exactly. It's the people we often dismiss who are saying the thing we really need to be listening to.
I've learned so much today on Grateful Goddesses, even in our favorite things. I'll try them all out. I'll order those books, that lipstick. I love the bracelet. Dina, that I'm for sure going to polish up to save my marriage. No, he's over it. He's not past that. But thank you again. Blessings to everybody for joining us today.
Thank you.
Unleashed your inner goddess yet? Thanks for joining us today on Grateful Goddesses. We invite you to visit our website, www.gratefulgoddesses.com, to access today's show notes as well as other helpful resources. Don't forget to leave a review. Until next time, stay strong and empowered to be a grateful goddess.